Hello friends, welcome to my channel Clinical Biochemistry by Dr. P.K. Prabhakar. Our today's question is, what is folic acid and why it is important during the pregnancy? And what are the different importance other than pregnancy? What are the different things where we require this folic acid? And if we don't have folic acid, then which type of abnormality we can have? And how to avoid that one? Then their interactions. So later on, everything, most of the things we will see regarding folic acid, but mainly we will see the abnormality related to folic acid. So the first thing is this folic acid. Folic acid is a main made from the folate, which is also we are going to call it B9, vitamin B9. This folic acid is an essential amino, means you can call it vitamin. Why it is essential? Because folate cannot be created by our body. So we need essentially from the outside. So it should be part of our diet. We are getting from the different kind of vegetables, different kind of leafy vegetables. So from the external source as a supplements we are getting it. We cannot synthesize it. So that's why it is called as one of the essential vitamin for us. This is the structure of vitamin B9, which you can see here. So this vitamin, as I have told you, is a synthetic forms of folate, which is also known as vitamin B9. In our body, whenever we are getting from whatever source we are getting it, this folic acid or folate can be used in our body in the form of 5-methyl tetrahydrofolate. So this is the active form of this folic acid or folate which we are going to use. So in this form only this vitamin will be utilized by our body. Folate is a component of many foods and supplements as recommended as a treatment for different health conditions that also linked with the folate deficiency. And its most common use is to promote the healthy development of the nervous system during the pregnancy. So normally almost all the pregnant women has been going to be recommended that she should take folic acid, because if folic acid deficiency will be caused during the pregnancy, neural defects may be there. So that we will see. So that is not the only reason, only things where folic acid is going to be required. Folic acid required for different other functions also, like it helps our cells to grow and multiply. So for our cells to proliferate, multiply, divide, we require folic acid. At the same time, it helps to form our red blood cells, erythropoiesis also. It helps for the genetic material RNA DNA synthesis and their repair also. So DNA RNA synthesis and the repair can be done with the help of folic acid. It keeps the healthy functions of our brain and nervous system, supports brain development during the pregnancy and infancy. Otherwise we can have some kind of other abnormality, and it balances level of homocysteine in our body. If this is going to be then we will have hyperhomocysteinemia. So it maintains proper blood cell functions also. It is also required for our healthy hairs, skins and nails. It also required for digestive purposes, and then number of systemic organs like liver, heart and other systemic organs, their healthy functions can be maintained by this folic acid or folate. This folic acid was first identified in 1931 by a scientist, that is his name was Lucy Wills, who discovered that brewers yeast an extract high in the folic acid could reverse anemia during the pregnancy. So that time it was not thought of, it was we didn't have information about that. This is required for neural development or nervous system growth. So first time when it was discovered that it was related to the anemia. It was only in 1943 that scientists were able to isolate folic acid in the pure forms and eventually synthesized in the lab as folic acid. Okay, so this was something about the history. Now this folic acid is converted into folate in our body. Folate can also be absent naturally from the number of foods. Additionally, in some countries folic acid is added to the food as a supplement. So many number of countries have this type of supplements is available in the foods. So rice, pasta, bread, cereals, they are having through folic acid fortification process. So these foods can have added folic acid. So whenever person will eat these foods, they will get the folic acid requirement will be fulfilled. These are the common foods which contain sufficient amount of folic acid. Like you can see peanuts roughly 246 microgram, spinach the rich source 146 micrograms, broccoli 108 micrograms, fortified flours 140 micrograms. So quantities of folic acid per 100 gram of food. So if you are going to take peanuts 100 grams, so 246 microgram of folic acid you can find from there. So they are rich source, but this is not the only food which contains folic acid. There are a number of other foods also which have folic acid content, which like this is the top 10 highest folic acid, top 10 highest folic acid containing foods. So they are green soybean, then lentils, asparagus, spinach, broccoli, avocado, mangoes, lettuce, sweet corn and orange. And here is their means amount, how much micrograms it is present in these foods. How much folate is in these foods? Like if you are going to take one boiled pinto beans, 1 tablespoons, this is the tablespoon, so roughly 3 tablespoon contains 80 gram, and they will have this much percentage of folic acid. Similarly, if you are going to take boiled lentils, there we will have 37%. If you are going to boiled baby spinach, there we will have 33%. Different foods, already I have given you the example where depending on foods how much folic acid is present there. So more than this nutritional value, how it is going to work, what are its functions in our body, that is more important for us. Okay, so during the pregnancy, in the first month of pregnancy, neural tube defect can occurs. Okay, this happens when the neural spinal cord develop or close early. So like I'll show you, this can lead to the condition called spina bifida. Like this is the neural tubes which is developed in the growing embryo. When this neural tubes does not complete, normally this is the tube like structure, so here it is completely closure. In some cases this tube does not open from both the side completely, so this is incomplete closures. And in this case, when it is not going to be closed completely, it is called as spina bifida. So low level of folic acid has been linked with the neural tube defect, that is short form we are going to call NTD development. If woman or pregnant woman takes folic acid supplement before and during her early pregnancy, it reduces the risk of neural tube defect by roughly 70%. Of folic acid daily requirement, that is the RDA value, dietary allowances. Now if you will say what is neural tube defect. So as we have seen, neural tube for this neural tube defect or neural development or the spinal cord development, we require folic acid. So neural tube defect are the birth defect of the brain, spines and spinal cord. They develop normally during the first month of pregnancy. So women, normally women know that she is pregnant after the first month, when first menstrual cycle is going to be stopped. So before women know about the pregnancy, before that one this disease can occur. So the two most common type of neural tube defect are, one is spina bifida, that is characterized by an undeveloped spine, or encephaly, that is absence of major part of the brain, skull or scalps. So this is where spina bifida, where tube will be not complete closures, so one it will be open from one side, and second one is encephaly, where some part of the brain is not developed properly. Low level of folic acid during the pregnancy are associated with the half of the neural tube defect. Okay. Roughly taking 400 micrograms of folic acid daily can reduce the risk of these defects by 50% according to American Academy of Pediatrics. So 400 folic acid is RDA value. Folic acid supplementation is considered the first term defense against the genetic defects like spina bifida or encephaly. So there, if we want to stop all these things, we need to take roughly 400 microgram of folic acid. So since 1998, folic acid has been added to cereals, baked goods and other food items to further reduce the risk of neural tubes defects. Roughly at least 80 different countries have taken this type of steps. If we'll talk about the folic acid deficiency, in along with the neural tube defect, folic acid can be used to treat many other defects also, and it often causes ulcerative colitis, liver disease, alcoholism, and kidney dialysis. So there also we require acid leads to the several types of anemia. Like one of the anemia is called as megaloblastic anemia, in which the bone marrow produces abnormal immature RBC, and so that is called as megaloblastic anemia, and there we require this folic acid. So folic acid is required to avoid megaloblastic anemia. Some of the important symptoms for this megaloblastic anemia is extreme failure, means extreme fatigue, because cells RBC will not be there, so will have to take more respire faster, or they will require more oxygen, so RBC will be overloaded. Heart palpitation, shortening of breath, open sores of the tongues, and change in the color of the skin or hair. So these are some of the symptoms. Triggers a condition called as one of the another disease, that is called as folic acid deficiency or vitamin B deficiency, can trigger a specific condition that is called as hyperhomocystinemia. Homocysteine is a derivative of cysteine. So when we are having high concentration of homocysteine, it is called as hyperhomocystinemia. So whenever we are having deficiency of folic acid or other vitamins, it leads to hyperhomocystinemia, in which there are too much amount of homocysteine in the blood circulation. This can occur in the people with kidney disease or genetic disease linked to the increased risk of cardiovascular diseases, Alzheimer's disease, recurrent miscarriage, bone fractures in the elderly cases. Roughly taking 250 micrograms to 1000 micrograms of folic acid daily can usually helps to reverse folic acid deficiency. Not only this one, folic acid also required to maintain the skin and avoid skin and eye disorders. So folic acid appear to be beneficial in the treatment of vitiligo, which is a condition characterized by the loss of skin pigmentations. According to a 2-year study which was conducted in Sweden, the combination of folic acid and vitamin B12 appears to completely stop the spread of vitiligo by roughly 64%. Eye development, there are some other benefits also. Folic acid supplementation has shown to decrease the risk of stroke, that is cardiovascular disease, by roughly 10 to 20% in the poor developing countries. Then it also going to reduce the means helps in the hypertension, high blood pressures, then depression also. So there are a number of disease where this folic acid can be used or can be beneficial. If we will see this neural tube defect prevalence in the Europe, 9.1 per 10,000 births, folic acid supplementation, but no folic acid fortification is there. So that is 0.1 per 10,000 births. So that's why rate is little bit higher. If we will 0.3 per 10,000 births, so rate is slightly less. And here we are having folic acid supplementation, folic acid fortification also from the 1998. Okay. So the mechanism by which this folic acid reduces neural tube defect is not very confirmed. Folic acid or folate is important in the synthesis of nucleic acid, RNA, DNA. We have seen building block of DNA. Large quantity of nucleic acid are required for the development of neural tubes for RNA, DNA replications. So folic deficiency may affect the DNA replications. So no neural tube formation will be there. Then if we are going to take too much amount of folic acid, there are some potential side effects also. Normally otherwise it is very safe, but sometimes it is going to cause some kind of other abnormal, or you can call it adverse effect also, like abdominal cramps, stomach upsets, diarrhea, flatulence, taste disturbances, irritability, nausea, skin color changes. So these are some of the side effects. Sometimes this is going to also cause prostate cancer risk. So it increases the risk for the prostate cancers. And one important thing is this folic acid has shown some kind of means they are having a interaction with the some of the drug interactions, you can call it, like some anticonvulsant like dilantin or mysolines, then some barbiturates like amytal and luminal, methotrexates, dipyramide. So with them they have shown folic acid has shown the interactive effects. So their drug interaction is there. certain drugs are interfere with the absorption of folic acid, means in that case folic acid absorption will be reduced, and those are some of the acid blockers like antacids, H2 blockers, and proton pump inhibitors, aspirin, azulidines. So these are some drugs which normally affect the absorption of folic acid into the GIT tract. Dosage already I have told you, roughly 400 to 800 micrograms is supplemented in the adults, either it will be pregnant or non-pregnant, but in case of pregnancy it is compulsory, it will almost compulsory, you can call it, every pregnant woman requires it. Okay, so this is roughly all about the folic acid, why we require, why pregnant women requires it, and what are the other things which is going to cause due to folic acid deficiency, or in which purpose we require folic acid. So thank you very much. If you have not subscribed my channel, you can subscribe it. If you like the video, press the like button. You can share with your friends. You can follow my channel on the different social networking sites. If you have any kind of query, any comments, you can write in the comment box. Certainly your comments help me to improve my content, my delivery, and number of other things. So thank you once again. Have a nice day.